tell you goodnight, 'cause I'll find a better one. Yeah, susceptible now before the moment flies. Ooh, so tell you goodnight, 'cause I'll find a better one. Ooh, susceptible now before the moment flies. It's not a problem, no, 'cause I know what I'm getting into. Yes. Yeah, and nothing can stop me. No, 'cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Either way, I follow. No need to say where we are heading now.
You are now live with the Locked In Podcast. As always, your hosts for the evening, Steve Ushler and George Mecaj. If you're watching on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, make sure that you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to turn notifications on to stay up to date with the most current personal development tips and sports analysis. With that being said, welcome to the podcast and enjoy the show. All right, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast. As you just saw in that brief voiceover clip in here, you're back, episode 117, and it's a little bit of a shake-up today, a little bit of a switch-up. We're not doing the standard Thursday, 6:30 p.m. on the Eastern Standard Time Zone. We are going live today, obviously, right now, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. It's been a while since we did a Friday episode, so glad to be back with it. And this is actually going to be a very informative episode. I feel like I say all of our episodes are going to be informative, but this one will probably hit home with a lot of people. I'm going to be realistic. I can say that I have related to this topic in a couple of different areas at certain points in my life. But today's topic is from the marketing that you've seen, how to essentially unfuck your life starting from rock bottom. What would you do, hypothetically, if you started from rock bottom tomorrow? So we'll get into that. But first, I want to introduce, as you heard in the drop right there, as always, we're your host for the evening. I'm Steve Ushler. Joined alongside me is my colleague, co-host, and my friend, George Mecaj. What's up, George?
How's it going, man? What it do? We're back in the building, man, but it's been a while since on a Friday, like you said. So interesting, a Friday afternoon, early afternoon, you know what I mean, with some good folks watching us, and definitely a good topic. It's a couple things we got to talk about, but this is definitely an interesting one, and definitely maybe one of the more informative ones, even though we always use the word informative and insightful, but this is like probably one of the even more, something a lot of people might find even more interesting, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, here's the thing, our goal here is to provide informative stuff, but certain episodes I think are, I don't want to say more important because everybody relates to different topics, but this is something that can probably hit home for a lot of people. We're never perfect. We're never at every single portion of our life that we want to be in. But essentially, let me ask the hypothetical question. And this is to the audience out there. And this would also be to you, George, but we'll actually dive into the topic. Hypothetically, if you were to hit rock bottom tomorrow in every area of your life, essentially your bank account is desolate. What I mean is you're broke. You have $0 in the bank account. You got $0 in the investment account. No vehicle to drive. At the same time, your health, you're in poor, crippling health. You're obese, out of shape. You've lost
all the above.
You've lost connections with friends, mentors, family, colleagues. So you're essentially at the point where you're a big time loner because you went from having a lot of people around you to you have nobody. And then on top of all that, you can't even seem to get out on a date because all those other areas of your life are not intact. Nobody will look your way. So you're not having sex. You're not meeting your basic needs. You're not getting a lot of sleep. Your confidence is at an all-time low. And you got a lot of that negative self-talk that's inside your head.
Not getting food. Confidence is not there. Your shape up is fucked up. You're banged up. Like you just woke up in the hospital with like a banged up leg. Got to stay there for a week or two. You're like like your mind is just that's crazy, bro. But you know what, Steve? I feel Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
When stuff like that happens, bro, the things that we do have now, it makes you appreciate having so much more gratitude. Like your gratitude could go up to on a million just because again, picture yourself in a situation like you're maybe not in the hospital, maybe you just got the hospital, but you have zero money in your pocket, or you got like 50 cents. You can even go to the freaking to a place called home. You have nowhere to live. Let's just say if you're staying in a shelter or you're staying with a friend, it's like he has to kick you out by like in a week or so because he's no choice. He's been having you. He's been having you stay over. So now it's about time, for you to, like you said, to try to get yourself out of this slump, if you will, out of a hole. Like, what do you do? Where do you even start? You know what I'm saying? It's like, whoa, it's tough.
Yeah, and that's where we're here today, right? Because we've both been in situations where we've hit rock bottom, and we both have experiences. Now, with an upfront disclaimer, the hypothetical side of it, I haven't been at rock bottom maybe at every single level of my life at the exact same time, but I've experienced these different types of levels at different areas of my life. So this is all personally experience based. And again, the disclaimer here is, number one, me and George are not licensed psychologists in any way.
No.
When we break this down, everything here is experience based at the Locked In Podcast. So we have certifications in certain things, but one thing that we are not licensed psychologists. We are not whenever we talk about certain things in finance, we are not licensed tax advisors, legal. We're not lawyers. So a lot of the stuff we talk about here is experience based. If there's anything we're ever certified in, we'll make that disclaimer up front to let you know. But that's obviously a disclaimer here at the pod.
Yeah, facts. You don't have to be a certified physician, a doctor, a shrink, not even a mentor necessarily of life or how to build a certain life and how to go a certain way to know that, like, if you went through a lot, if you lost a lot of things at once or took a small or a big L, a big loss, right? And then you kind of bounce back from it. It doesn't take a doctor to know this. However, I do agree with you that some doctors or licensed people or professionals, we just call it that, may know like a thing or two from a science standpoint, from like a medical type of way, but somebody's been through it can offer some advice, as well as somebody like us, like people like us, or maybe they've done a little more than us, that have read books, they've experienced something, have discovered, different, audiobooks on YouTube, different stuff through Amazon, they've read, like, we call it testimonials, and also people's, reviews, and people that, had told their story about, listen, I was fat once upon a time. I was like 250 pounds. I did this and that, but now look at me now. Now, this guy could be an influencer now, or somebody on YouTube with like views, likes, a great family, and a great life. Success stories, people like success stories everywhere, not just America, but everywhere in the world, around the world. And I don't think there's any better success story, somebody that went through a lot and possibly, overcame everything. And now, he's doing well. And people like that, people like the underdog. It's easy to live somebody like a loser or limits and that, but their story. And then when he becomes a winner, and then, and everybody jumps on him or on a bandwagon. Like David Goggins, for example, I always use him, but he's a good example. He used to be really big and out of shape, and now he's the toughest mother effer, out there. Toughest motherfucker in the world. He runs. He's got a great life. He's influenced by people. He's on the big platforms now. Like you saw on the Joe Rogan show, and he's done a lot. I'm not saying that he was. I don't know his situation exactly. I'm not gonna say his life was all out of order, but he had been he was trying to be a Navy SEAL or something like that, right? And he was really out of shape. He didn't have money as now, so he did it. And and again, we're not comparing stuff to him. We're not saying you got to become a David Goggins. Just the story and the philosophy behind his struggles to get back on top, or to get back on his feet, if you will. That's what we're trying to take away from this and trying to explain to you guys in this abundant episode.
Yeah. Like obviously Goggins took massive action to get where he was, but it all starts with simple steps, and that's what we're going to break down tonight. And then we'll talk about the next level steps is what you have to essentially take it to. We're actually going to skip the intro tonight, guys, because we're obviously pressed. We want to keep this to about 6 p.m., which is what the event scheduled time is. So we're going to skip out on the intro tonight, just so we can move the content forward. So yeah, how to unfuck yourself. It's as simple as that. It's how to unfuck yourself. What do you do if you hit rock bottom in almost every single area of your life? I want to start this conversation, and I want to get the ball rolling by, honestly, there's something that I have not put together, but something that I have personally used in my life when I was in rock bottom in specific areas. And I took notes on this in certain areas I wanted to improve. So I actually wanted to share my screen so you guys can visualize it as well. Instead of me just talking about it, and I'll go through it real quick. So let me just share that real quick with you guys as we bring it to the other window. All right, so there's this little thing, and guys might have heard this in school. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Essentially, what this means is, there's 5 different levels. There's 5 different levels, and if you don't take care of the first levels on the bottom, the entire pyramid, the entire structure is going to collapse. That's how it is in any type of building that's built. So number 1, we got the physiological needs. These are your essentials. These are your food. These are your water, your sex, the sex
These
in
are
your
like
life.
your basic needs. Right.
Something as little as air, breathing. It's the essentials. You cannot live your life without these, especially the breathing, the food, the water. You need all of that stuff in order to essentially be able to be you. You're not here if you
That's a fact.
if you don't get those things in. Number 2 level is your safety. And this is where some of the things that we preach here at the Locked In Podcast and our philosophy. Remember, we say the 3 pillars of life. We say your health, your wealth, and your relationships. So they all come in the next 2 levels. So after you get through the essentials and the physiological side of it, you have safety. Safety includes anything from your body, your employment, your resources, essentially your wealth, your family, your health, your property. So things that you have, then you acquire from your wealth, as well as your health and your body, your temple. That hits in level 2. Level 3, you get to loving and belonging. This is your friendships, your family, your sexual intimacy. So your partner, your dating, your, whoever your partner is, it's all that. And then you get to the top 2 levels, and these are able to kind of thrive once you take care of the first 3 levels. You're able to kind of thrive in these next couple levels. You are now live with the Lock. Accidentally clicked the intro thing there, but let me move this cursor over so I don't accidentally tap anything. Anyway, you get your esteem, right? Your esteem is straightforward. It is your self-esteem, right? You got your confidence, your respect of others, how you are respected by others. These things aren't going to be able to thrive if you're not taking care of the first 3 levels. Your confidence is not going to be high. You're not going to have a high level of self-esteem if you're not taking care of your relationships, you're not taking care of your safety with your health, your wealth, and then you're not nurturing yourself on the basic level with sleep, water, food intake, sex.
Bro. Yeah.
All that stuff needs to be taken care of to get to a high level of confidence, right? I mean, it makes sense. And then number 5, the top tier level, is self-actualization. And this comes in when you got the other 4 levels running like a machine. Everything's running smoothly. You get to your morality, your creativity, your spontaneity, problem solving, critical thinking, things of that nature. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm actually going to unshare now, so that way we can bring us back to reality here. All right, so let me put myself on full screen. So,
yep. No, agreeable. Definitely good steps. Good point.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's a pyramid. You have to hit those. You have to hit those basic levels in order to be able to thrive. So I'm going to say I've hit rock bottom in a couple different areas of my life throughout the years. Let's say when you become an adult, right? So I'll talk about in adult years versus when you're a child. When you're a child, like it's a little different. So
we're talking about adult years more than anything, right?
From 18 to where I'm at now, 30. So within 12 years, I have had different points in my life where, I have essentially hit rock bottom. I didn't always have a lot of money in my account. At one point, I was completely broke, had like $10 in my bank account. I've been at different spots. This isn't an underdog story by any means. So this is just, personal experiences. I've been at portions of my life where, I wasn't in the greatest health. I've been going to the gym since I graduated high school, but there were points in my life where I wasn't always really going. I kind of took that point in my life on the back burner. I was eating super shitty, super unhealthy. And then there's other levels too, right? You have the friendship, you say tomorrow you lost all your friends, all your connections. You weren't dating anybody, nobody was even dating you, even thinking about dating you. You haven't had sex in a while. If all these things are lacking, you can be at rock bottom in every portion of your life. So what do you do? What actionable steps do you take to get out of this shitty ass situation that you're in? Because let's not mince words. Let's not bullshit. It's not a good area to be in, right? Nobody wants to be at rock bottom. I don't think anybody wakes up and says, I want to be at rock bottom tomorrow. But sometimes things happen.
It does happen. Yeah.
I would say number one you have to take care of the most obvious, your basic needs. So make sure you're getting sleep. Make sure you make a commitment to start fueling your body correctly. Make sure you're getting enough water. And then we start this journey, right? So the journey that if I was to lose everything tomorrow, every single thing that I've built, if I was to lose all of it tomorrow, I would start number one by questioning, I have to start a new identity. I would really have to sit down, figure out what my mission and my purpose is in life, how I lost everything, and how do I become better. You have to start with the identity. And you don't want an identity that other people create for you in life, because a lot of times we have voices in our head and different people in our ear that are trying to tell us to be something. You have to really do the soul search. You have to really put in the work and the effort. Can you agree with that? The identity side of it?
I agree with it. Yo, real quick, bro, make sure there's no echo there. I heard myself echoing a couple of times. Let me make sure it's clear. I don't want to hear myself echo there. There we go. Good. No, I agree with you 100%, bro. Great points, of course. If I could just take all the floor for a second. So I think the most important thing is, like you said, have your identity. I could tell you a story about a guy, and maybe we'll mention it a little later because I like the word identity. So I think I told you about this guy before. This guy named Frank Mir. He used to be the former UFC heavyweight champion. Long story short, to kind of combine it, to kind of connect it to what we're talking about, he was a champion, right? One night back in 2004, I think it was around like September maybe or August, he was riding his bike somewhere in California, like not far from LA County, and a trucker or some kind of small pickup truck came up, and I think next thing you know, he flew out the bike and actually ended up falling, broke his legs, both parts, fucked his knees up, completely destroyed his back, and he was really bad. I mean, first of all, he could have died, so he survived. Went to the hospital. Obviously, UFC stripped him his title. He took this man, bro, like literally 2 years. And I remember like seeing him. He was a phenomenal fighter at one point. Great grappler, great jiu-jitsu and everything else. Good striker. Next thing you know, he got back to fight and he looked in terrible shape. I mean, he was already heavyweight, but he looked really bad in one fight. I mean, as a fighter, the fight here that know they trust their guys, that fight, and that I know, obviously I've done it myself too. You know that when you go out there, your body should always be looking good in peak shape, even if you're not a fighter. But when you're out there and you're taking your shirt off and you're half naked for the spectacle of others in home, bro, it'd be embarrassing. And just, I mean, the least you can do is be in good shape and not have a belly and all that. This guy, man, Frank Mir, came out looking really bad one fight. I think he won like post accident. He just won a title, right? But breaking the guy's arm and took the title. He was the baddest man on the planet, the UFC heavyweight champion, undisputed, hands down, right? He comes back after that, gets in an accident. They strip him the title, lose a lot of deals, of course, loses money, but we're not getting to that yet. He comes back and fights, and he lost like a thing out of 3 fights. He lost 2 in bad fashion, and he lost a fight to a guy should have beat. The one fight he won between his sandwich of 2 losses was a horrendous fight. He looked terrible. And I remember watching the fight when he came back like about 3 years after the accident, and he won convincingly. He fought a Dutch kickboxer. He beat him. A guy named Anthony Harding. He took him down, beat him. I remember it's like seeing the stage, they're showing like on a screen. His wife was really happy for that. And then he ended up fighting Brock Lesnar, beat Brock Lesnar, and ended up taking I believe he became the interim champion. So it's like from the champion, he went all the way down. Again, he was up the world, went all at the bottom. Probably couldn't go any farther, I mean, to be honest. And then went back up. Now, for someone like that, famous person, a guy already had money, it may not seem like a lot. I mean, he almost died and all that. Definitely made it alive. Good for him. But he lost a lot. But I remember in the interview he said that like something like this: said, I had no identity. I had to wake up, and my wife was even telling me that like I didn't marry just like such a bitch. Basically, you gotta get up there and go do it. He said that he couldn't even stay next to his kids. He didn't know what he was anymore. Not that like he lost like he hit his head and he lost his conscience. That's what happened. He was fine. It's just that inside of you something develops where you're like it eats you alive, bro. Like you don't know who you are anymore. You keep your wife no more. Your kids, they're there. You probably want to go hide somewhere so you don't cry for your kids. You lost like then all the connections you had at your job. And in this case, he happened because of a big accident, a motorcycle accident. But because the world, it is a certain way, bro. It's a what have you done for me type of world lately. So it's like if you're not really working, man, sure people can support you. You can do your own. Your family's there. But if they're, the people that they really pay your bills, bro, or people that help you with the business, if they kind of turn your back on you, now you got to build a lot more to get to that stage. But before you can get back to claim your money, your job, your title, and all that, you got to start small. So it all starts again with reclaiming your identity, like you just said. Like I'm telling you. And I heard this in an interview a while back after he beat Brock Lesnar, and I think he fought for a title and he won. He won an interim title because he ended up fighting Lesnar again and he lost that one. But so it talked about almost like they made like a small mini documentary, on YouTube, like a small video on it, maybe like a 30-minute documentary on him, or like kind of like a chronicles of his life and how he happened. And yeah, bro, I mean, you can have it all one day, bro. You can lose it all. And like you said, you basically fuck your life up. But sometimes it's not necessarily a bad choice you made or somebody doing you dirty or you getting too greedy or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it could happen from an accident, some kind of occurrence, you know what I mean? Like it's not really out of your control. Bad weather, you're driving a truck or the truck hits your car, smashes you, you may lose your life, One day you wake up, you're cool, but because you abuse your body too much and you smoke too many cigarettes all your life and didn't take care of yourself, didn't take care of your body, didn't rest enough, you know what I'm saying? You drank all your life to fuck your liver up, now you're fucked. Now you're like, go to a hospital and because we all know alcoholism and everything else sometimes can lead you to lose a lot of things in life. People sometimes start gambling too much, and
well, I was going to say that's what, if I can chime in, that's with any addiction, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Any addiction.
It's again, you do it yourself, but what I'm trying to say is it doesn't always happen because an addiction, it could be an addiction, something bad, or somebody puts you on and gets you involved in something like you shouldn't be doing, like gambling, illegal gambling, throwing the dice around. Next thing you know, you're out there spending money, losing money, risking your life really, and destroying everything you built for. Again, we talked about it earlier before the show started. There's legacies and all that you got to build, and a man's legacy can be measured what he does when he's here. But if you did have it when you had it good, and then you're great life, and then you went to rock bottom and went back up, that's also a success story. So you only adds on to your legacy. So it's important that we also highlight people that have done well. They might have been already famous and rich and they got destroyed everything because of one single thing or many things, a chain of events, or people that just were regular, had rock bottom, but now they went all the way up and now they're better than they ever were. You know what I mean? Now everybody's born with everything in their hands, bro, and everybody's born a leader. Sometimes you become one, but through that journey, you might have ups and downs, and this is the best, example we could talk about right now. About basically unfucking your life up or undestroying your life. That's where you're fixing it. I mean, for lack of better terms, or fixing everything that's wrong.
I would say it's not even a might. You absolutely, if you're ever on a journey towards greatness, you're gonna have ups and downs. There's no such thing as a straight curve. Some people think that growth that goes in a straight upward motion. That's not true. If you are truly going to be a successful person in this earth, and success means different things to every single person. You don't have to be a multimillionaire to be considered successful in life.
Right.
Now, if you want to be a millionaire, that's a great goal to have. You want to be a millionaire, or maybe even a billionaire. You strive. Grant Cardone preaches. I actually have it on my board. It's one of my favorite quotes. Never lower your target, increase your action 10 times. So you got to really figure out by creating that identity what success means to you, and you have to take the actionable steps to get there. So that's why I say by creating a new identity. Sometimes people don't even stop to literally take a second to sit back and actually figure out really what they want out of their life, because there's a lot of different things that are important. Now, even if you don't want to be a millionaire, your financial stability and your resources are going to be an important part of the pillar, because you need to be able to sustain yourself financially in life. So your goal might not be a multimillionaire. I don't think anybody's going to turn down the fact that they would want $1 million, but everybody's goal, if I could say this, is different. But there are certain things that mean more to certain people. What I'm saying is you need the basic necessities to be able to carry out that action, because if you're not taking care of the necessities, you're not going to be able to get there. I'm actually going to kick the ball to you in a moment here. But let me go back to the step one. So before I can get to step two, creating an identity, right? What are some things that you would actually say, if you were to create a new identity, say you were at rock bottom, what are some steps, some things that you would want in your new identity? What are some things that are very important to you to be a successful man in life? What would you say for you personally, not for anybody else, just for George? If you were in rock bottom in all the levels of your life, what would you want when you're creating this identity?
Well, bro, it's a good question. I mean, it's hard to say if you've never been there. I've been somewhere similar, not exactly rock bottom, but similar. I think for me, at least, what I learned in my experiences, and to answer your question, to kind of create an identity, again, everything starts from the beginning. So the first thing will be kind of, just try to get, myself, my mindset, the right way it needs to be, knowing that I know what's important in life. I know what I got to do. I lost a lot of things. Let's get almost organize your brain, if you will, you know what I mean? And it could be also be on a board, like you said, or on a calendar, someone in your room, office, I'm here, just you write down steps. So the first goals will be, definitely get my mind right. Meaning that I want to be clear in my mind, knowing that there's something I got to do and I got to do this. Commitment and consistency are key. Also, essentially, it's also good to have a good family. I know that I have a family, so if I rock bottom and say I was looking for my family, I would obviously try to make everything right. Myself first. My mental state and my health. That'd be number one. And we're talking about say I was really sick and my health wasn't there. I was out of shape, at the hospital, addiction. We're just giving all kinds of negative scenarios. You know what I mean? So yeah, first thing will be first. Obviously, if you have an addiction, kind of trying between getting your body right, which would include going to the gym, not drinking as much, or indulging in drugs. Try to keep a clean lifestyle. Sleep is very important. Sleep patterns. Also eating healthy. We don't really stress it enough. We talked about it on the show here and there. Maybe we'll talk about it with some of our other guests, and I think we might have talked about it with Matt Lee and some of the guys that came in the past about fitness, but we don't talk enough about the fact that eating is an addiction, bro. And eating is like one of the main devils too. It's like sometimes people eat just to eat, you know what I mean? Indulge in just, eat all this crap. You smoke a little bit, you drink, you the munchies, you come home late, you want to eat and stay up all night and have this kind of lifestyle of a night. And it's not always the best idea. I mean, the best hours are to sleep, bro, from 10 to 8 a.m., bro, or 7 a.m., whatever. Maybe 11 if you can, sleep that early, but that's the best time to sleep, So reprogramming and recharging your mind, man, and getting your body and your mind right are two essential steps, in my opinion. Obviously, after that will be, trying to go back in contact, with the people you might have lost. And it depends, whether you guys just haven't talked because you fell off so bad that you kind of fell off the face of the planet, or if you're in a situation where you kind of cut off ties to certain people, or, let's just say like a bridge was burned, you might have not been, the fault of the person we're talking about, or, your fault, it might have been somebody else's fault. Sometimes it's good for you to also, try to reach back and try to rekindle everything else, because rekindling situations, bro, and relationships can help you in the long run too. So that's another step. Then after that, bro, pretty much everything else comes along, it'll be more like the future. I gotta do, I gotta, figure out a way to make money. Again, when you have a family, you can't go back to them. Like, say you went away for a while, you came back, whether you went to jail, because that's also rock bottom. Going to jail is rock bottom. Going to rehab is rock bottom for some people. Some kind of hospital. I know dudes that they went to mental institution, came back. I mean, they felt like they even got 302 because they weren't stable at one point in their life. But only because you got 302 one time, let's be clear on this. Doesn't mean that your life is over and you always like that too. It just means that you messed up where they got you, to the extreme situation. Now they got you, in a straight jacket somewhere else. But all things considered and everything said, you can't come back and snap out of it. I know a gentleman who actually happened to him. He ended up going to the hospital. He told me he went to a friend's hospital for like a month, and he said when you drink the medicine, you're not supposed to take them because they keep you longer in there. Guess what? Now he's back, bro, with his family, his wife, bro, his kids. Like, he never left. He became a grandfather about 2 years ago. It's a guy that I know. He's somebody I'm cool with. That I know, an older man. He knows my dad too. But sometimes, bro, that's how it is. Like, you may lose it all. And again, to some people, success is different, but so is rock bottom. But we can all agree that rock bottom emphasizes a couple things. Losing like friends, family, having a terrible situation, losing your job. You know what I mean? Waking up in the hospital, not being there health-wise, mental-wise. It's also got to do with it. You can be healthy somewhere, but your mind, your mental health is part of your health in overall, like in the bigger picture. So you got to definitely, be stable for these things, man, and not have nothing, distract you. So that's a couple of things. Other things that I would say, like you said, start for everything, the basics, a place to stay, whether you got to stay in a shelter, but obviously got to look for a job or even like, try to seek work with those, they give you a job, even if it's not a lot of money, just to get enough to get your feet wet, to get back on your feet. That's the key word. You kind of go back, where you need to be. And then it's like metaphor. To get back to your feet, you can walk now, you can explore and do new things. But if you're not, up here in your mind, your body, you're not going at least to the gym or at least trying to, work out a little bit, but be clean as well. You can't do nothing else, but you can't get back on your feet if you're just, if you sound like shit, look like shit, you feel like shit, there's no confidence there, there's no ambition anymore. I think that's the most important thing, bro. Confidence is great, but when you lose all your ambition, bro, and you have no discipline no more in life, and there's like literally, without discipline, really can be no motivation, really. So if you have none of that, it's hard, you really got to get back on track. Oftentimes, another thing you can do is you can seek out a person that was there for you, like a mentor, and maybe you haven't seen him in a while. Seek him out as well to give you a hand, or seek out people that have been good to you, including parents, of course, and your family. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. But yeah, like you said, take actionable steps, bro, and just I think my most important thing would be to prioritize everything. After you lost it all, how can you get it back? You will get it back, and you should get it back. You know what I mean? But just to like how to do it, how to go about it. It might not be easy. Some people want to get it back, but they just talk. Make it where your actions, bro, are more applaudable. They're more actually believable than your steps. I'm sorry, than your words. Your actions and your steps are connected, but make sure your actions speak louder than words. Because a lot of people say they want to change and they want a lifestyle no more, but they still can't change. They're stuck in, where they're stuck.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, good points. I think the action comes, but you're gonna see there's only a certain amount of things you're gonna be able to focus on, big picture wise, at a time. I'm gonna talk about what my identity would essentially be in just a second, but I do want to make the point to say that multitasking, I think, is honestly a lot of bullshit. So, we are taught in America, multitasking is how you become successful. You're dipping your hands with multitasking in many, many pots. It's very difficult to sit there and actually dial in and go all in and focus on one thing you're trying to improve. I think at one time, if you're trying to make some big moves to improve, like 2 big areas of your life, I think 2 is like, I'm like literally everybody's life is different, but what I would say from my personal experience is if I'm trying to better my life, there's only like 2 areas I'm going to focus on at once in order to master something. Because if you're trying to dip your hands into 5 million pots, it's very difficult to become a master. You honestly become a dabbler in many different things, but you're not a master.
Dabble too much,
It's very hard to,
bro.
yeah. Let me,
You're a dabbler.
Literally, you got it. It's very difficult to master anything if you're dipping your hands through a bunch of pots. So back to the main point of creating an identity. I actually had a list. If I was in a shitty situation where I was at the bottom of the rock, and I was able, like, if I was literally rock bottom and I lost everything, there are some things that I personally, these things are important to me in my life today, things I've worked on and become good at, and other things that I'm still working on. So this is a list that I kind of compiled, and I have it typed out. So, someone literally, like, I'm someone that, like, I like to be ready to go from Jump Street in the morning. So someone, if I was to create an identity, I want to be somebody who wakes up with vigor, ready to start their day every single day. So every single day I want to wake up with purpose and be like, what am I going to do today? What type of work am I going to put in today to really make a difference? Someone who can actually, like, look in the mirror and like their body and like feel good because you're working out, you're taking care of your health. I want to be somebody at that level. And it's not just from what others think. It's because you feel good about yourself when you're in good health. You command more respect on top of it. It's just, when your health is in order, you're also able to really be able to have the energy to carry out all the other tasks of your day. You're able to focus on your purpose. When you're in shitty health, it's very difficult to get there. Someone who works deeply with no distractions. So also when I'm in good health, I don't feel lethargic. I don't feel tired. When I have too much caffeine, sometimes I'm very distracted. Not distracted. So no distractions, be able to just put my head down, grind, work, and not be able to be distracted. On top of that, someone who feels confident to talk to anyone, who can strike up a conversation with anybody at any given time. And your identities are all going to be different, things that matter to you. So honestly, if you're ever in this situation, make a list of things that you want to do and create your new identity. And second will come the action. Some other things is, have enough wealth and money to live, by myself sustainably. At the same time, be able to build my business, because I have goals of building multiple businesses. So be able to grow my businesses, be able to sustain my life. And also enough money to travel consistently as well. So I can travel the world consistently. On top of it, to build a friend group that everybody in the friend group, literally in your friend group, supports each other's dreams. So you want to have, and it's not, and also a friend group that holds each other accountable, because look, you can have friend groups that are just bullshit each other all day and all they do is gossip behind each other's backs. That's not essentially actually a particularly good friend group. You kind of gas each other up when you know you need to be held accountable. I want a friend group that, if I was at rock bottom, I would want to build a friend group and surround myself with people that are going to hold me accountable when I'm fucking up, and at the same time support each other's dreams for growth. You don't got to be a bully to hold people accountable. You can be like, look, I know you're built for much more than this. Let's fucking get it. Let's fucking grow. I know you're built for much more than this. Let's stop. Let's hit our potential here. Like, and that's what you want. You want to be able to grow with people that are essentially going to support each other's dreams. But at the same time, when you start fucking off and start slacking off, honestly, you need to be held accountable. So it's important. It's important. But those are just some of mine. Those are some of mine. I think I hit the pillars of wealth, health, relationships, and then some of it with the confidence stuff on the self-esteem level, and then also on the self-actualization level, which is the top of the hierarchy. But creating an identity is very important, and everybody's identity is going to be different. So that's my point on identity. Level 2 would actually be taking the steps. So figure out, if I was to say, based off your identity, man, what are some steps you would start taking tomorrow to get you to actually fulfill your identity of what you want? So what small steps? It can just be small steps. It doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Like I said, bro, improving communications, improving productivity. Not saying that I'm not productive, but I feel like there's days, at least I'm talking about right now, not even like if I was on rock bottom, just me right now. There's days that are more productive than others. You'll have days that are better than others, but to try to keep make every day count. I do it as much as I can, but figure out different ways to do things. Always reinvent yourself. Like, don't sleep a certain day, sleep at a certain time. Instead of taking a late night walk and late night workout, go to sleep, do it in the morning. Sometimes go to do it at night and get out the way, like I did a couple nights ago. I was working out late at night, but it all depends too. It all depends. It depends on with the priorities and everything else. So again, fixing up a couple things that could be better. Um, you know, if for example, I want to go to the next stage of my job and all that, do some research and some stuff. Don't just sit and wait for it. Kind of take more advantage of the situation. Like you said earlier, another one, and I mentioned this earlier, and I said like ways to kind of reinvent yourself and trying to get your identity. You write positive stuff on the wall. I do this all the time. Write notes, but buy those calendars. They have like positive notes or a candle or what is it, like a mug, some of those like giveaway stuff that we have. For example, like a mug says, "Don't worry, think positive. The journey's long, and it could be cold out there, but have tunnel vision and just focus on one thing and just straight shot. Do what you got to do. Like you said, for example, like have accountability what you're doing. If you mess something up, and what I mean accountability, guys, we're not talking about always hold yourself accountable, like just blame yourself and be hard on yourself. Not necessarily that. Be accountable that you can admit the wrongs, but at the same time, you want to kind of like go forward and you want to correct them. Not by talking, but by doing them. Actions speak louder than words. Actionable steps are better than just words that like just goals. You can set goals. It's great to have goals, but if you're getting goals and there's nothing behind them, they're just nothing about words on a paper or just thoughts that you're not really going to carry through. You got to follow through. Following through with it, extremely important. You know what I mean? Other stuff. You know what I mean? Something else. Way to kind of like help me with the motivation I need. Again, always remind myself of the discipline and the hard work I did. Always remember all the stuff you did, even if you we obviously haven't had rock bottom like real bad like some others have had it, but we had our situations. But always remember like the steps you took to get there. Is it worth it? Letting it go now? All these virtually all your life. You know what I mean? You've done all this, bro. And then you have a hard situation. Now you're gonna for example, quit. Like say me and you could woke up and be like, yo, I don't know, this path is too hard, man. We fucked everything up. But we like the last episode. We should just quit. Would that make sense? All this build up we've done, it wouldn't though. It'd be like, kind of like a waste. So always remember, the journey and the humble beginnings. And I think they kind of sometimes can guide you in hard times too, even if you are at the bottom or you just at rock bottom, you just got up for a little bit, like you got up the hot floor, but you're still like crumbling on your knees, trying to get back to your feet and go forward. You know what I mean? That is very important. Actionable steps. You just gotta want it. It comes from inside of you. The ability to want to change. When you see others, don't feel no kind of envy. Use it as more way to motivate you to push you more forward. And then you have that inside of you. Reading books helps. Obviously, some books that are good that I recommend. Everything from the 48 Laws of Power to what's it called? What's that book called, man? The Secret and the Secret, as well as the what do you call it? Hold on, there's another one. It's actually right here. Let me see something. It's right here. I got it right here. It's funny as hell. I'm talking about it. Oh, The Power. Yeah. For those that are watching, see?
Oh, nice.
Excellent book, bro. One of the best books I've read in my life. I read this book about 6 times, and I always read it. I take it to work sometimes. I had The Secret, but I can't find it, so I gotta get it back. Same author wrote The Secret, and about the laws of attraction, all that.
It's a lot of books out there.
Yes. Here's the thing, bro. How, for example, let's just kind of tie it to this because we talked about this before and it's all connected. We talk about the laws of attraction often, right? We kind of know what they are. We've talked about them. What about how, for example, say like you use law of attraction and you've done well in life, but again, you plunge somehow. How about using them to get back what you need, to claim everything? Because we're talking about if you're rock bottom, meaning that you're good at once upon a time. No one really you don't just start at rock bottom. You might, but you're not just unless you're born really poor and there is some circumstances. Usually you're doing okay somewhere, and then somehow you're like, you fly here, and then like
I would challenge by also saying though you may never really hit. It doesn't just because you're at rock bottom also doesn't mean you were ever at a high level because you might
bingo, exactly. Don't try to say
you could have been in the middle somewhere, but it still doesn't mean you were at a high level. You probably
an elevator where you want to be like.
You could hit rock bottom in different areas, man, where you could just lose everything in one shot. But what I would ultimately say to you is, you may not have still be achieving what you really want to do in life, and you may not be successful in all areas where your real mission and purpose is. That's why I said it all starts with the self-identity first. You really have to figure out what is important to you in this life, and that's how you start to go after things. But the small actionable steps are important. If I was to say I want to start being able to strike up a conversation with people as one of my goals and not have to worry about ever what other people think of me. What a small actionable step you could take if you were in that situation is to strike up a conversation with just one person that day. So when you're outside, say you go to the grocery store, strike up a conversation with the cashier, if or somebody in the store, just something random. Like it starts with the tiny steps, and that's the momentum that will build you forward to being able to take the bigger steps. So, if you did that one day, try the next day with 2 people, and then just continue to build momentum.
Growing, yeah. get the ball rolling, as they say. Get like this ball and just like kind of let it roll. And then
it's like if you're in the gym and you're lifting certain weight and you want to build. Say your goal is strength. So what are you going to do? Every single time if you go in the gym and you lift the same weight for a year, 2 years, months and months and months. The thing about it is your strength is not going to increase because you're not increasing the weight. If your goal in the gym is to essentially look aesthetically pleasing, so you want to look good, you don't essentially always have to be lifting the heaviest weight to make yourself look good. You essentially have to follow a certain way, like where you're going to go. You're going to eat correctly because it's going to get you the most definition. And on top of it, you're going to do certain weight training exercises that are going to bring out the specific areas in your body that you want to grow and you want to look good. Like if you want big arms, you're going to go train your biceps. You're going to go train your triceps. If you want a strong chest, you're going to go train your chest, but you're also going to eat well. You don't have to lift like super heavy. It depends on what your essential goal is. If your goal is to build your business and start with building your money, learn how from other people who have started a successful business in the same field that you want to start a business.
Definitely.
There's a lot of content at our fingertips today that people didn't have 40 years ago, 30 years ago. You can find a lot of things on Google and YouTube nowadays, and a lot of the free content is what you can access to become successful. It is very true. And I have heard this from some people I know, a couple of people actually, who are multimillionaires. They're multimillionaires. And they said when they were starting out, they used Google and YouTube for a lot of different things. So this is coming from proven advice from people who are already multimillionaires. So
you can actually established and successful.
You can access a lot of things. I'll be honest, probably since I graduated high school, cover to cover, I can't really tell you how many books I've probably read, but I can tell you I've listened to probably close to 100 audiobooks because I personally am about maximizing my time. So I'm somebody who likes to be able to do something. Like I can listen to an audiobook while I'm working out, while I'm driving. I essentially like to be able to maximize my time. So audiobooks are great. Yeah, Amazon Audible costs money. I think it's like 15, 16 bucks a month, but there are hacks when you can get like a free trial, and there's always ways to obtain free information. You can get a free trial and then you can cancel, get a couple credits, get a couple books. There's always access out there to find things. And you really just have to figure out what you essentially want to create for your new identity. And there are small steps you can take to get that ball rolling. Like I said, it all starts though with the essentials at the bare minimum, the very bottom of the pyramid on the physiological level. You have to get your sleep, and everybody's body is different of how much sleep they need. You need to figure out what works for you. So you want to get your sleep. You want to be consuming the correct amount of water every single day, your water intake. You want to eat correctly, and then everything else kind of comes. When you're in good shape, when you're driven and you have a good mission, you're building a good friend group, then honestly, at the same time, you start to be more attractive in the dating market. You start dating. A lot of things start to come full circle. Your self-esteem gets higher. Your confidence gets higher.
Things look up for you. You know what I'm saying? Yep.
Exactly.
Also, Steve, real quick, just to say something remember we talked about, because I kind of want to say this, and the multitask thing, I think it's very tricky and confusing, and I don't like people to be confused. Not that we're confused. I'm just saying, like, when people, because, it's the word is misused. People say multitasking is such a generic term these days, but I mean, like you said, let's be clear about it. Let's kind of specify a little better. Multitasking, when you're doing too much in life at once, is not a good thing. But when Steve just said earlier, like sometimes you just say, like, you might go to the gym, go for a ride, you listen to books, you might be in the shower, listen to, like, I listen to music and all that, and everything else. We listen to watch all kinds of videos when you don't need to really watch entertainment stuff, gossip news, etc., etc. All the BS that, they kind of show you on YouTube and TV. Well, instead of doing that, sometimes listen to a good book, or either read a book, but in case you don't have too much time to sit and read, reading never gets out of style. Let's be clear about this. Let's be really fucking precise. Reading is never a bad thing. But, okay, well, say then, like, you don't have too much time, listen to books. That's fine. That's a good way to multitasking. Like you lifting weights.
Well, yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's different.
Online real quick, and then you might multitasking. You might listen to an audio book. What we mean by multitasking too much is, guys, don't get involved too much in, like, doing too many things that require a lot of time and focus, and have too many projects at once. We're not talking about some guy out there, Johnny Blow out there chilling there, brushing his teeth, trying to fix up, credit on his phone. You know what I mean? Getting ready, going to the appointment, coming back, getting a lot of stuff they want. That's cool. That's a different type of multitasking, you know what I mean? But even then, you don't want to do too much multitasking. Like, say, like, you're in an environment like right now, like how we are in our respective, studios, office, room, with a little desk. If I'm doing a lot of things here, you can't hold 5 conversations at once, or 2 even, you know what I mean? One is enough. So that's what we're trying to tell you guys. That multitasking, although it can be good in some ways, in some smaller, elements, like, if you're like, again, getting ready for work, but in the meantime, you're, you sign out of your email, you read like 5 emails already, you did it like in a minute. Like if you could do a lot in a minute too, that's great. What we mean, don't multitasking is kind of crap. And how I teach in this country, you got to multitask everything in bigger things in life. Like you said, like trying to finish school, but then you just trying to do a course at the same time while you work and while you're like off duty. Like you might be an Army Reserve. Now you just realistically can't do that. Just focus on your career and focus on your job, or do your school. You might work a few days a week. That's cool. It's good enough too. It's automatically it's a lot of weight. There's an expression say you can't carry too many buckets of water at the same time. You only have 2 hands. Which you want to put them here and here? Too many bottles. You're gonna drop them all. Like people that get a lot of things at once, right?
Yeah.
Here and in both armpits, on your arms, and your hands.
Instead
So
of
essentially, the metaphor, it's a similar analogy. Exactly. You can't do too much at once. So like Steve was saying earlier, like we mentioned earlier, and Maslow's hierarchy of needs that explain things like this. Take your time and focus on things that are more important. And also, by the way, you guys might not know that Maslow does say to get your cover, and you said it earlier, cover your basic needs first, and the ones important, then work up the pyramid. See, it's a pyramid for a reason. Then it's a pyramid to say what's the most important at the top and the bottom. No, it's also to work your way up. Like it's literally a metaphor, and it's a brilliant way of putting it. Maslow was a genius, but we know that though. He was a philosopher and all that. A lot of these guys, philosophers, psychologists, same thing with Tesla and a lot of these other guys, Isaac Newton. It's a lot of guys that from physics and from life in general came up with some theories that really 300 years later, 200 years later, 500 years ago, later, it can really help humanity, like you said, bro. And even though everything's in books these days, or it's on our fingertips, 30 years ago, it was around, but not the way it is now. I mean that like it might have been on books or something. You get to go or get articles and pay online. Now it's like it's more free now. It's more accessible. That's what we're trying to say. You know what I mean? Because books, now everything you see on Google is always the facts, but Google gives you the most accurate things. But good old books, bro, like nothing beats good old books, which is why a lot of the stuff it's taken on Google through good old books. All the stuff. You might want to look. Oh, who was Benjamin Franklin? Who was this guy? And I'm saying like I don't know. Tesla, or who was the Eisenhowers, the Rockefellers, stuff like that. You can find on Google. But good old books, bro, have a lot of info and some very insightful books, which is why I never say no to go like Barnes and Nobles. I always, anybody knows me knows I always take a trip to Barnes and Nobles. It's literally one of my favorite stores ever. Even more favorite than I even like it more than some sneaker stores and some some clothes stores. And I love sneakers, bro. But what I'm saying, like books, bro, could be essential. But you brought up a great point, bro. Stuff is on our fingertips. It's online. It's on YouTube now. It's audible books. You know what I mean? You obviously have Amazon, which has evolved throughout the years. We know about Amazon for years, but it's gotten even better now because you can get more. There's more access to things. There's more accounts. Obviously, technology has improved. So we have everything we need. There's Fire Sticks. There's Amazon. Audible books and all that, like Kindles and all that. You can actually rent books online. You can actually buy them now, but they're kind of like on a computer screen. So it's done wonders for us, technology. But not everybody's using it for the right reasons, and everybody's using it. It's in front of your face. People still not really using it. They get caught up in old habits. They get caught up in what they hear. Also, like I said earlier, sometimes listen to the nayers. People they give them sort of like negative advice or pessimist. You don't want to be pessimistic. You want to be a realist, but not a pessimist. Better to be an optimist, but pessimist doesn't help. But a lot of people are pessimists, unfortunately. Just how it is. So you got to be able to be smart enough. You can take somebody's input and say you talk to your friend, your boy John, your boy Frank. He tells you something. It's an input, it's an advice. It's not what you want to hear, but you know what? Use as fuel. Don't be like, oh, he said this. Oh, my plan is terrible. I shouldn't do this because he said that. Just because he can't do it, don't mean you can do it. Just because he feels that way, don't feel you gotta feel the same way. You gotta sometimes
take it in stride. You take the advice, you note it, and you move forward. Remember, there's a difference between accountability and negativity, though, because negativity is honestly negativity. Essentially, what that means is not everybody's in your corner clapping for you, so you really have to understand that. It could be family, it could be friends, the so-called friends that are around you, but there's a difference between negativity and accountability. That's not really what this podcast is based off of, but essentially, you really need to understand that there's a difference. Accountability, you want people around you to hold you accountable, but negative people, you make note of it. Don't get upset by it. Make note of it. Remove them if you have to, and just keep it pushing. It's plain and simple. This thing, this thing called life, we only get one chance at it. There's no reason for people to be around you who are not supporting your goals and dreams. They'll be better, suited with somebody else. And that's the thing. Even if it's a difficult decision, all you do is you acknowledge it, but don't ever be blind to the fact that somebody could really be hating on you. But here's the thing that I can't stand. I can't stand people who anytime they're held accountable, they turn it into somebody's being negative or hating on them.
They feel like they're the victim. They self-victimize themselves, and that's not good either. That's actually a trait of a psychopath.
But there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that do it. Our generation, guys, like people who grew up in our generation, it's essentially, and I heard it from somebody literally like a week ago. Our generation is fucked, and this is from a successful person, a very, very successful person that I know, and I'm not going to drop their name, but our generation is fucked by the instant gratification and carpe diem type shit that we see every single day. And you were bringing up Netflix and other things. You know, entertainment's good and all, but when your life's not in order and you're continuously searching out entertainment, the thing is, you really need to understand what's important to you. We were built here for a reason. It wasn't just to consume content and be entertained by things. Entertainment is great and all, but honestly, the generation is very fucked by the carpe diem and the instant gratification type shit that we see through social media. You know, you got these algorithms that continuously suck you in for hours. We've all been there. You see Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. These things consistently, Facebook Reels, they consistently suck you in by the algorithm. And that's essentially what that's supposed to be there for, is to continuously
it's a cycle.
Suck you in.
It's really a life sucking cycle, bro. A time sucking cycle. It just take a time from you. If you're watching it on your phone.
Let me ask you this one though. Let me tell you this. If there is somebody that is not being productive, they're not achieving their goals, and they're complaining about it, the first thing that you can do, and this is one of the biggest indicators you can look at for somebody, say, let me see your phone and let me see what your screen time is. Because I guarantee if you're on social media for 3 to 4, 5 hours a day, and then you're complaining that you're not where you want to be, let's hold ourselves accountable, because we've been here before. And let's say, honestly, that's probably one of the biggest key indicators of why you're not getting things done. You can literally just look at somebody's screen time and probably understand it. And look, you know, we're not perfect. We've been in these situations, but at what point are you going to make the decision to say, hey, look, you know, I got to do something about this? Because if you're not where you want to be and you're at rock bottom, and then you're on top of it, you're doing things like consistently consuming content instead of actually like getting done what you want to get done and being the productive person and achieving your goals, doing the things that you want to do, those things can come after. But you have to take care of the things that you really want in life. And there's a lot of distractions in this life that hold us back. It's unfortunate. You know, I always say technology is a blessing and a curse, because but the good thing is there are means to prevent it. There's a thing I think called app blocker. You can find ways. When I was struggling with it, what you can do is you can put your apps in timeout. Like essentially what happens is you can lock your apps for a certain amount of time. And you can literally take Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. If you're not using it for professional purposes, like if you're going to create something, you can do it right from your computer instead of your phone. Hide that shit on your phone. Like if it's a distraction, there's always ways you can do things. Turn your phone off. If you are somebody that's prone to waking up in the morning, you're going right to TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, and that's something that's a problem for you, say, what you can do is you can either turn on an app blocker, you can turn your phone off, you can like disable those apps just for the time being. And there are ways around it. You know, we're not just held prisoner by the things. You know, you have to make a conscious effort to change. You have to make a conscious effort.
Yeah, you're right, bro. And can I add something real quick, bro? It's ironic because while our phones, probably like even the show right now would have been made, because I mean, we could do this on our computer or our phone. Like obviously we got a lot done on our phone or computer, but it's just so hard to draw the line and be like, okay, I did a lot on my phone. Let me give the phone a break. Let me go and wash my face, wash my hands, lay down for a little bit, go for a walk, go learn 10 new words in your own language. In English, we're talking about English, and obviously to learn another language is a different, you know, method. You know what I mean? A method to that. But learn 10 new words, write a sentence if you have to. And I'm not saying go back to grammar school, but trust me, bro. You'd be surprised me. People are older, haven't been to school, by the way. Some even got college degrees and still don't spell that good. You'd be like, wow. I'm just saying, but out there. So the point is that like, the phone is like you said, bro. I consider social media part because it's on the phone. It's on here. You know what I mean? It's a little device called the phone that we have these days. I did a term paper on phones, and I've got a good grade on it. And the term paper, Maris is in that class, actually. You're probably watching right now. The term paper was a research class, research methods, and I had to do the evolution of cell phones from 95, because that's how back I went to about 20. The project was done in late 2013, so it was about 2012. So, I mean, maybe a year off, because this is 2013, I was in college. And, bro, it's a tool that you need. You cannot go nowhere with your phone. Back in the day, if you had a cell phone but you forgot at home, it wasn't the biggest, you know, waste of space or waste of time, or, you know, the biggest inconvenience. You can have a beeper. Remember the beepers? You can actually go and use a payphone. Payphones don't really work anymore, but maybe there's one payphone in the whole city, if there's one.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's an outdated it's an outdated form of communication. I mean, it's just how it is. Life goes on.
Yeah.
We move past things. It's just like tape.
You might have a house phone, but is it really on a wall? Is it the one like this? We're talking about my job.
Cassette players aren't really a thing anymore
though.
either. Just think, man, it's an outdated form of technology, man. Just think, like, cassette players aren't a thing really anymore. Just look, a lot of newer cars do not have CD players anymore. It's just
VCRs.
Outdated forms of technology. That's standard, though. That's how industry works, and that's just how society works. We move past things. We get new forms of technology, even if there were certain things that we loved. But
it's a gift.
Either way, if you're using a phone or not, man, and stuff, all I'm saying is, man, you have to limit those distractions.
That's what I'm saying. On your phone, it's hard as hell, guys, but. And again, for those guys that haven't watched it, I think I mentioned before, watch Social Dilemma, The Social Dilemma. It's a great show. It's on Netflix. It's a great documentary. And people that were on Google, they work for Google, bro, from Facebook, for Twitter, like people that were even the chairman of Twitter and everything else. And this is long before Elon Musk took over Twitter and everything else. They talk about it. They actually are invited in this thing. It talks about how we can live without our phones. And it's not just social media, it's just the phone in general, because you can play games on your phone. You can just be texting. There's so much things you're doing, but you're taking virtually time off, for other things. That's what people always talk about. On the 90s, we did things different. It was more fun then. No phones to hold you prisoner at home or to lock you in too much, to distract you like that. Not too much of the social media stuff, not too much stuff online. Keep in mind, social media could be a good or bad thing, bro. It's good too, but they also know they're doing that, and it can be used for maybe negative ways for people. It can really lock you in. You can take your time. The algorithms, people are messaging you. So, I mean, okay, people are messaging you. You feel like you have to message them back. It's cool. You want to DM somebody you're cool with or whatever the case, friends, colleagues, girlfriends, females, whatever, right? But in a sense, you're doing that, and then you go back to the feed and you're scrolling down on the news feed. That's where the problem lies. That's the algorithm, it's really taking a lot of time from you, bro. And honestly, bro, to tie out what we're talking about, social media itself could just help you to lead you to the rock bottom. You're doing too much. You're essentially building an image, a cloud of smoke you don't need there. That's really just bad luck. And you were portraying an image is not you, for example. Even if you don't know you're doing it. Next thing you know, it can lead to anything else. Anything can happen. Next thing you know, you're left with nothing. Now what? You have a social media account. You don't have a phone. You're like, damn, you're broke, lying on a bed or trying to figure out a place to stay. Like you said, now you're like in a very tough situation where you're going to reclaim your life and get your identity back and your life back, but now you're stuck, and you can start sometimes because of, again, trying to show off too much social media because you've been programmed wrong. Social media can program people, and we talked about it in other episodes. We'll probably do another one on social media in the near future, but right now we're just talking about some simple stuff. And you don't gotta be an expert for this. You just, a regular person that goes to social media that's seen this can see this. Yeah, I mean, it's important, bro. I mean, again, there's sites on social media, like on IG, there's pages that talk about Maslow's, pyramid. It actually has those, there's actually pages out there that I could probably even show you. You've probably seen a couple of them. That's great content. But if you notice, what's the abundance though? And what's more algorithm? Stuff you don't need, pictures, that you don't kind of need too much entertainment stuff, IG models, funny stuff that's kind of funny, but it's like exaggerated funny, stuff like All-Star Hip Hop, kinds of silly videos, guys fighting, all that stuff that you really don't need. They're entertaining, but it's the thing. Is entertainment always a good thing? See, it's another topic for another episode, possibly. Entertainment is good and bad because
it's not good when your goals in life come at the detriment of it. That's the problem.
Like also, you can see a lot, bro, about people. I know people now. I'm not going to mention no names. I don't care. People will tell me, well, just delete them. No, I don't want to delete them. There's people on social media accounts, bro.
Just a heads up, man. We're coming up on the hour mark.
Yeah,
man. So I'm gonna have to kind of end within probably the next 60 seconds to 120. So I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really get to talk about everything I wanted to really talk about in this episode. So I just jotted a note down. We are actually very booked on the podcast, man, guys, everybody out there. So we are booked for quite a bit of time. So I actually just jotted down a note to make sure to schedule and how to essentially unfuck your life part 2, because I wasn't able to really get through everything I wanted to tonight, and I really don't want to keep these episodes too long for the algorithm and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know that some of the comments and concerns about the podcast is how long these episodes go, so I really don't want these to go past an hour. Right now, we just hit the 1 hour mark because we started about 4 minutes after the 5 o'clock hour. This is Candace, actually. That commented tonight, so I do want to give Candace her props and credit on these comments, so thank you, Candace, for commenting in and giving your feedback here. She said, "Good stuff, guys. Just talking about that. Haters are gonna hate, and yeah, like it's very true. Appreciate your feedback. Thank you. I always thank everybody who comments in. So
yeah, no doubt.
I do want to do a part 2 to this because I really only got through about 3/4, halfway 3/4 of really what I wanted to say. So we can maybe keep a short episode for part 2.
I got some notes too,
but I am going to throw it on the calendar to schedule this one because was not able to get through everything. So I just jotted it down so that I remember to do it.
Just a time limit, bro.
With that being said, I'll just make a couple quick comments.
We covered a lot of it. And I will just, like I said, man, I'll just point out that you can see somebody's likes and interest on social media and understand what kind of like what they're really getting into. Watching videos that there's no value to them and watching more positive videos. That's what I was kind of trying to say. But we could definitely do a part 2 and we can add on to it. We don't got to repeat everything, but we can have an overview. But part 2 probably won't be for another, more than likely another 2.5, 3 months. Because, like you said, realistically, we're kind of booked. We have a lot of guests coming up. We're growing a podcast, guys, and me and Steve are doing a lot of behind the scenes work to try to, again, always improve it throughout the years. I mean, we'll be going to 3 years in September. It'll be 3 years. So we're 2.5 years right now as we speak.
We'll prove it with actions, not words. So you guys will just see going forward. I just want to make a small announcement. We do live in Philadelphia, so if anybody who's watching this around the world, we are a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania-based podcast. There was a shooting that happened last week, so I do want to just give some small condolences. And this is actually to every officer out there. It's not just this one officer, but obviously this was a big one. Chris Fitzgerald was shot and murdered last week by a young kid who was 18. So shout out, because I know some people that know his family and everything like that.
I know people that know him too, bro. Shout out to rest in peace to Chris Fitzgerald, and I want to give kind of like a condolences to his family, a moment of silence and shout outs.
Shout out to everybody out there that's in law enforcement, fire, emergency services, safe guys. Hospitals, nurses and doctors.
Appreciate the service.
It's just honestly, we wouldn't be able to, live our lives without you. So, shout out to you guys and rest in peace to Chris Fitzgerald and condolences to his family.
Yeah,
very sad. He's just one example because there's a lot of officers that die every single day.
A lot of senseless violence in Philly, but I mean, every big city in America has its problems, but definitely Philly. Yeah. We had our share of dead officers here, just in Philly itself. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is the latest one, and it's crazy because you happened right by your old school, bro. Near, around Temple.
It did.
And just so you guys know, I actually was there that night that it happened. I ended up going there later that night, late at night, and everything was shut down, bro. Because I dropped a friend off that works with me who happens to live in the area. Yeah, I was a little, nervous for going back there, but it was really sad. I mean, just crazy. But streets of Philly are just the streets of the streets down defeated. You gotta be careful.
What can you do, right?
Stay away.
Exactly. With that being said, guys, I'm going to end here tonight because don't want to keep this long. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're watching after the episode or anything like that, if you're watching on YouTube and you're not already subscribed, you know what I'm going to tell you. Already smash that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on because we release new episodes every single week. You do not want to miss it. We'll keep you up to date on all the most recent personal development tips, sports news, and with the pipeline of people that we have coming on, I'm really excited. A lot of young professionals. I know we've actually had to push some guests back. So I know we've been saying we're going to have some guests on. But we really do have some people scheduled in and lined up for the next few months. So exciting, different walks of life, and that's what this is all about, right? So it's going to be exceptional content. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure you are subscribed. If you're on Facebook, you're already following the page. Just like the content; it helps us out. If you're not on Insta, we have all of our other pages too, and you can see the link down below. It brings you to all of our platforms. Check out our website. Check out our Insta. You can listen on Spotify, but even if you're watching this after the fact, we appreciate you. Just want you to know that, it's be true and be you. And the key is to be free in 2023. Guys, with that being said, it is Friday. I'm not going to hold you guys up too much. It's Friday and everybody has lives and everybody has things to get to. So with that being said, have a great night. We'll see you next week for episode 118 of the podcast.
Appreciate you watching.
Yeah. Yep. Take care, George. Great doing this with you tonight.
Stopping a great episode, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, guys. All right, boss. I'll talk to you later, man. And it was a great stopping. It's definitely a pleasure. And I'll see you to the next one.
Sounds good, man. Take care. I'll play the outro.
Take care.